the webinar, but thanks everyone for joining. Looking forward to the next installment of our pitch event. The December version, going to be having another one in the new year as well. So we'll follow up with everyone after the call once we're finished and send out some more info on the next event. So yeah, a few people have already started joining, so I will kick us off. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Tom. I work at Swoop Funding. As many of you know, we help startups raise investment, get investor ready, and help sort of close out people's funding rounds. We've got 6 companies pitching for investment today, which we're really looking forward to. Some really exciting businesses who are going to be giving overviews of their businesses. And just to kind of run through how the event's going to run today, first off, we've got Henry from Butterworth, who's going to talk for kind of 5 to 10 minutes and give us a market update. So thanks very much, Henry, for joining. We're then going to dive straight into the pitches. So each company is going to pitch for 5 minutes to give a full kind of overview of their business, what they do, how much kind of investment they're looking for, and then we're going to go to the next business. So one by one, there's no Q&A today. We're going to send through a Google form. So if you're interested in following up with any of the startups, please fill out the form, and then we'll connect you with the founders after the call. So in terms of the running order, today we've got Choice, Dosen, Marty, Kushla, Examfly, and then Akara. So yeah, looking forward to hearing everyone pitch, and to the founders, hopefully you can stay within the 5 minutes and I don't have to cut anyone off before you finish. Cool, so yeah, let's get into it. Henry, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, and looking forward to your presentation.
Thanks very much, Tom. Bear with me just as I share my screen. Hopefully that's come through for everyone, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Henry Warwood. I lead research and consultancy at Bowhurst. This afternoon, I'm going to talk you through what are sort of latest signals on the health of the investment landscape in the UK are showing. And in the space allotted to me, I'll try to sort of extrapolate with a few predictions about what might happen next. But I'll appreciate it if you don't hold me to those too aggressively. Just a little bit about what we do at Bowhurst. So we're a data company tracking the UK's economy, but we've got a particular focus on companies that are innovative and growing. To find those businesses, we're looking at any company that does one or more of the things on the slide here. In particular, we track every single equity investment deal into UK private companies. We track from friends and family rounds all the way through to growth, venture capital, growth capital, and exits as well. And that's the data set that I'm going to be presenting some analysis on as well. But we do also look at a sort of broader universe. We're interested in the role accelerators have to play. We're interested in how companies use venture debt and innovation grants, as well as looking at scale-ups, so companies that are growing organically, and spin-outs as well, so companies coming from universities. In terms of the view that gives us on the economy, there are about 5.4 million companies in the UK. But since we started at Bowhurst in 2011, we've tracked 28,000 using equity at some point in their growth journey. So some companies don't make it beyond using the friends and family round. Some companies don't use any equity until later in life. All of those are sort of in scope for us, but it's very much a minority group of companies that are using it. But we've certainly tracked quite a few deals, nearly 72,000. 150 billion investment into private companies, but the median deal we're tracking is 256k. So the majority of the deals that we look at are those friends and family and angels rounds that represent the top of the funnel for high growth businesses. Without further ado, then diving into some of the investment trends that we're seeing. So this is showing for all stages the amount of investment received by UK private companies per quarter. So the line shows the number of deals and the bars are showing the amount invested. You can see here in the sort of 2021 and 2022 peaks, the impact of the post-pandemic period. Some of that buoyancy definitely caused by the increased appetite for private companies. and in particular by types of investors who, for whom this represented a novel space. You might have heard them called sort of tourist investors. They sort of came into the market and have left the market. That's part of what's causing this sort of trend, this downward trend that you see on the right hand of the page. That's certainly part of it. There's also a macro impact here in these numbers, but it's worth saying, you know, we're not a million miles off what we used to see regularly at a quarterly level prior to the pandemic. So deals are still being done. I don't want to, especially seeing as there are companies about to pitch to you and are in the process of raising. I don't want to be too pessimistic. It has got a bit harder than it used to be in order to raise. And I think over the next few slides, what I'm going to try and say is what can we say about whether or not this trajectory is going to continue. Looking at these deals in a slightly different way, this is looking at, in the yellow line, the number of new companies securing their first amount of fundraising, their first deal even. And you can see actually, despite a correction in 2021, there's been a downward trend since 2018. This data only goes up to the end of 2022, but when we look at our 2023 data, we're hovering around 1,000 deals now. So it looks like that downward trend is set to continue. So for companies that are raising their first rounds, it has got especially harder, I think is the point to make from this graph. That's understandable. Any kind of sort of macroeconomic downturn, if you think of early stage private companies are already basically the riskiest asset class in any investor's portfolio. The new companies that are new to the portfolio then represent the most riskiest bit of that already risky component. So we do see in times of uncertainty a retreat to funding existing companies. So certainly getting your first deal has got harder. There's definitely a gender disparity in people's ability to raise, although this graph does show an improving trajectory. If it carries on at this rate, it will be just shy of 2050 before you even get parity between the dark blue bar and the other two bars. And if you look at the amount being raised, actually it's even worse. So a long way to go. There are great initiatives out there in the market, like the Investing in Women Code, that are trying to move the needle on this, but a long way to go yet still. Trying to predict what's going to happen next. So this bar is showing in the blue line the number of investors who made their first deal into the UK. So some of those are new UK funds, some of those are international funds making their first UK deal. The new UK funds are here in orange. So this is again describing that sort of tourist investor effect. We had some in the immediate post-pandemic period, we had a lot of international appetite to invest in UK companies. It's still there. There are still a decent number of funds making their first investment, but it has gone away. So that downturn that we saw in my first slide looks more like a correction from that international activity. Onto some positive news though. The deals that are being done at higher valuations than ever before. There is probably some inflation effect priced into this, but also possibly worth saying that as part of that correction, only the better companies are getting funded, so therefore commanding a higher valuation. This is an average on the deals done in each period. Which sectors are attracting attention, or whether they're sort of sectors or horizontals, however you like to think about it, they're sort of both covered in here. We tag companies with as many sectors as we think are relevant. So a company can be fintech and AI. They would be double counted in this. But the interesting change is AI is now in the #1 spot. 12 months ago when I'd be presenting this, and for many years before that, fintech would be used to be the #1 spot. Clean tech, also quite a fast mover on this list. About a year ago, it would have been around #7, #8 on this list, and now moved into third place. Just in terms of who's doing these deals, so just to be a bit more optimistic from some of those other slides. Yes, there's a bit of a correction in angel activity, but they are still doing a very large number of deals. So the deals are still happening. There's less of a correction in VC deals. This is just because it to some extent represents their day job, so they can correct their activity less based on the macro environment. Conscious of time, just to very quickly give an outlook for the future in just 2 slides, as best I can. I think I mentioned that in my first slide. I think what we've seen is a correction. We've not yet seen in that the effect of interest rates. If you think about it, the type of the investment that private companies raise, probably the last in the chain to be affected by rising interest rates. So I think there is a bit more of that yet to bite. It particularly affects the ability of VCs to raise Fund 2 or Fund 3 and things like that. So that's got a long way yet to trickle through the system. And liquidity is proving a bit of an issue again for VCs and angels in their ability to take on new stuff, because their existing stuff is proving harder to get off out of their portfolio. So this is just showing exit activity, or in particular acquisition activity, which deals are still happening, but at a slower rate than the immediate post-pandemic period. To spin it back around to some optimism, though, still a decent number of deals being done across all stages. So not to be too disheartened by that, but certainly it has got harder than the post-pandemic period. There we go. I'll leave it at that. Hopefully that was a whistle stop tour.
Thanks very much, Henry. Really appreciate that. Very insightful. Thank you very much. And yeah, hopefully still some good things coming on the horizon investment wise, and we'll be picking back up. Cool. So just going to dive straight into the pitches now. So first off, we've got Rollo from Choice. So if you want to share your screen, Rollo, that'd be great. If anyone else who isn't pitching at the moment, do you want to turn your cameras off just for the time being? That'd be great. Thank you. Cool. So yeah, I can see that. Rollo, I'll just put you so everyone can see you. And yeah, whenever you're ready, feel free to kick off.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tom, and thanks very much, Henry, for that. Really interesting. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rollo. I'm the founder of Choice. A bit about me, very quickly. I've been in consulting for over a decade. Before that, I was the chief operating officer of Odgers Ray Bernson, one of the largest headhunting groups in the world. And what now seems like a million years ago, I used to be in the army. Choice. Choice is a proven and disruptive online marketplace that connects the buyers and sellers of consulting and professional services through a quick and effective platform with powerful matching algorithms and highly automated processes. We have a bespoke platform. We are operating within a $250 billion global marketplace that hasn't been disrupted for decades. We do have revenues that are growing significantly, as well as a very good client list and pipeline. And the model that we have is entirely scalable, which makes it quite exciting. What are we solving? There's lots that I could go into this, but in the interests of time, effectively on the buy side, we provide incredibly fast access to verified individuals and teams of individuals that can replace going to traditional suppliers such as Ernst & Young, PwC or Bain, and usually at a 75 to 50% less cost. On the sell side, we provide opportunity and access to the market, giving complete transparency to who we're dealing with, how we're dealing with them, and just giving them choice, both sides, choice to the marketplace. Moving on very quickly, the global market opportunity, as I mentioned, it's a $250 billion marketplace. In the UK alone, it's a $10 billion marketplace, of which independent consultants command around $2 billion a year. Interesting on the supply side, we're seeing significant growth. Excuse the pun, COVID did give us a shot in the arm. But back in 2017, the Office of National Statistics showed there were 175,000 management consultants in the UK. 55,000 were independent. Fast forward to 2020, 17,000 new consultants registered themselves here in the UK, an interesting fact in that of 6,500 were under the age of 30, showing that there is a dramatic shift in the marketplace as we see. How it works, the platform is built on four main pillars: community, resourcing, and teaming, and it's all backed up by our technology. So what does our technology enable us to do? Our advanced matching algorithms allow our clients to effectively shop like they're on Amazon for either individuals or teams of verified consultants to come and help with any projects they might have. We have a very sophisticated automation tech stack, which enables us to incredibly quickly trawl the marketplace and bring the exact right people into our community to be verified and then put forward to clients. We have detailed scoring systems and to provide quality, and a bespoke project management bit of software that we've built in. It is what it is today. There's so much more that we can do with it, and that's why we're coming back to the market. There's a little bit here about our community. I'm sure if anyone wants to see more, Tom will share this afterwards. Our client list is significant, as well as our pipeline. The last few weeks have been tremendous for us. We can add into that client list Coppet Hill, which is a consulting firm, BTT and MSD, which is a new investment bank coming out of America, Kite Financial Services Group, and Nestle, who you all would have heard of, and are all using the platform as we speak. How does the financial model work? It's a multiple revenue stream, which mitigates risk for us. We have added a headhunting side to our offer, purely because two reasons. First of all, it fits very well. Secondly, clients were asking for it, and our technology allows for it. Our revenues, we launched at the beginning of this year. By early summer, we had sort of revenues were around five grand a month. Last month we billed 55,000. This month we're looking at billing about 60 to 70, and January is building very nicely as well. So you can see a significant rise in our revenues. Tom, I realise that I'm just straying over. We've got a very strong team as well as advisory board, including Georgie Guy, who's the head of strategy at Brown Advisory, Ash Coleman-Smith, who is head of sales and marketing at Lawyers on Demand. So in terms of professional services platforms, there really is no one better. And Ian McNeil, who is the chief of staff of Rogers Burnson, having been a brigadier in the army. So just to finish off, we are a multi-layered value proposition with a proven track record and growing revenues. And I very much hope to be speaking to some of you very soon. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Rollo. Really appreciate it. Great pitch. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm just going to put in the chat for everyone the Google form to fill out if you're interested in chatting to Rollo from Choice or anyone else today. Please do fill out the form and we'll connect you after the call. Can see questions come in for Rollo in the Q&A as well, so I'll forward that on so he can answer, and I'll link you in together. Cool, thanks very much, Rollo. That was a good one to kick us off. So next up, we have got Ronan from Dawson. If you're ready, Ronan, do you want to share your screen? And then whenever you're ready, feel free to kick off.
Absolutely, that's coming through okay, Tom?
Perfect, looks good.
Super. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time today. My name is Ronan Wall. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Dawson, the AI-powered online mentoring, learning, and development platform. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of some of these statistics, but did you know that 40% of all of US students are going to drop out of college this year? And 1/3 of the US workforce is considering leaving their job in the next 3 to 6 months. You'll have heard of the phrases like the big quit and the great resignation. We're in a period where we have lower retention rates than we've ever seen in historical records, and the cost to the higher education sector and to the corporate sector due to increased recruitment and retention costs and lost revenue is north of $176 billion a year. The primary reason for this is due to a lack of guidance and personal development. That's the single biggest reason for people leaving their jobs or dropping out of college. And what we've done at Dawson essentially is gather a world-class team with experience in startup and exiting businesses across higher education and corporate, and a team of advisors and investors that will essentially let us solve this problem. And that's why we built Docen. Docen is, as I mentioned, the AI-powered online mentoring, learning and development platform. We sell into universities and colleges in the higher education sector and into businesses in the corporate sector. And what we do is we work with them to create personal development plans for all of their people, and then provide them with the tools on our platform to allow them to achieve their plans, increase their engagement, increase their satisfaction, and ultimately increase retention for the organizations. Just to be clear, mentoring is an age-old problem, or an age-old solution to a problem. We're not reinventing the wheel here. 84% of Fortune 500 companies already run mentoring and development programs, and every organization in higher education that we've spoken to runs 4 to 8 programs each in an attempt to solve this challenge. What we do is we work with the organization to essentially digitize and optimize their programs, and we do it in an incredibly personalized fashion, which allows them to feel like they're taking their existing programs, putting them online, and then that drives higher engagement, higher satisfaction, and ultimately higher retention rates. We work with a number of large organizations. We're live in market today. Probably a good example to share with you is the European Bank, because they run the biggest mentoring programs in Europe. One of the use cases I'm going to share with you is within their Hypo program. So this is a startup program that runs across 29 different countries. And every year, the European Bank spends north of $1 billion a year in funding this program. Before we started to work with them, they were managing this program out of email, SMS, spreadsheets, you name it. They were really struggling with satisfaction rates and engagement rates, and they had very little visibility as to what was happening within their program. We onboarded them within 3 weeks. In that period, the engagement rates from their users went from 9 to 90%. The learning quality increased from 3.5 to 4.9 out of 5. They won a European Bank Program of the Year. And really importantly for them, their core KPI for this program was an attempt to increase the valuation of these businesses and ultimately drive value back into the economies of the countries that they were working within. And because of Docen, they now know that they've increased the value of the companies that went through their program by more than $500 million. And as a result of this, it won't surprise you to hear that they doubled their budget for the subsequent year, and they're increasing at an ever-increasing pace. They're one of a number of organizations that are live on our platform right now. Our ARR is north of $100,000, with more than that committed through long-term contracts. We have more than 2 million in ARR in our pipeline, with a number of large organizations again already verbally committed. And then on the second component of our go-to-market, we are already in discussions with a number of channel partners who essentially will give us access to the clients that we're looking to work with in a more scalable fashion. And ultimately where we want to be is we want to be the platform that powers their existing user base. And in the space that we exist in, this is an incredibly common model, which ultimately is likely to end up in one of these partners becoming the acquirer of our business. So in terms of the opportunity in front of us today, we're raising a $2 million pre-seed at a $7 million pre-valuation. We are a US company, hence the use of dollars and not pounds or euros, but we're eligible for SCIS and EIS, which is fantastic. We've already completed more than half of this round, which is led by Affinity Ventures with the investment from Index and some senior executives that are core to the industry that we're working in, Apple Education, Google, and Kendall Hunt. This investment will provide 18 months of runway, at which point we'll have 33 clients, $1 million in ARR, have built out our next suite of product features and set up our scientific advisory board. Our aim really is to get a guide or a mentor into the pocket of every single student and employee in the world. And I hope that you'll join us on the journey to make that happen. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Ronan. Great pitch, and perfectly on time as well. So thanks very much. Amazing. Yes, if anyone wants to follow up with Ronan, please do put so in the Google form, which I'll resend in a second. Nice one. So just remove you from there. Cool. So next up, we've got Harry and Lucy from Marty. So if you guys want to share your screen, and then whenever you're ready, feel free to kick off.
Hi, everyone.
Cool.
Yeah. let me just make sure I've got that up. Okie doke. Is that showing okay?
Yeah, it's just come up now. Perfect.
Great. Cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Hi, I'm Harry.
And I'm Lucy, and together we're building Marty's.
Marty's is an AI-powered micro retail solution, and we're enabling the future of decentralized food. We're already backed by Founders Factory and Nesta out of their mission studio, and we come down from a top-down objective, one of Nesta's main objectives, to reduce obesity by half by 2030.
So within this space, we're going after the convenience food market because we've identified that there's a gap in the way that interventions and products have been targeted in healthy food, traditionally towards home products and eating in hospitality situations, and there's a real opportunity here in grab and go. So let's start with some macro trends. Food retail stores are becoming smaller and more localized. You probably recognize some of these from the high street. And at the same time, unattended technologies usage in retail has become increasingly widespread. The growth of self-checkout kiosks worldwide has been considerable in the last decade and only continues. And these all really represent retailers responding to growing consumer expectations for localized options, quick service. People don't expect a queue anymore and they want service rapidly. And at the same time, despite all of the embedded costs that these kind of demands create, they want affordable prices. So Harry and I have been on the front line of startups seeking to tap into these consumer demands for convenient food in new ways. I was on the early team at Wheezy, which was one of the rapid grocery startups that grew and then quickly sold in COVID to get here in 2022.
And I founded Play2Wear and raised £750,000, which was a restaurant meal kit marketplace in 2021.
And through going on these journeys, we've learned a lot between us about what works and what doesn't when it comes to convenience food, from logistics to the data you need to make sure you're not creating tons of waste, to the model that you work with your suppliers through and the channels that you engage with your customers through. And the bottom line here is really that strong operating margins are key to sustainable growth. I'm reminded of the presentation at the start. And essentially our view here is that physical micro stores will remain core to the convenience food landscape, with signals already, like we mentioned earlier, that big retail are already well on their way to a micro decentralized model versus the traditional centralized supermarket that we're all familiar with.
So introducing Marty's. We're developing the technology to service the future of micro retail. You'll see some of the biggest fresh food brands on the left here, and we're launching these brands with our micro store model into a number of these different location settings on the right. In the future, every convenience store, transport hub, workspace, university, and hospital will house a nested micro store. And we're using AI to dynamically deliver food products tailored to localized demand. Unattended microstores in underserved spaces emit last mile costs and unlock B2B revenue with a per store payback of under 6 months.
So this new model is really exciting. Marty's brings in money from two streams. Firstly, from selling B2C products in retail settings, and additionally from the B2B revenue that we get paid by venues monthly, which I'll come back to. As Harry mentioned, we collect food from third-party brands. We operate a high throughput logistics model, meaning that unlike with last mile delivery companies, we don't have to worry about peak courier capacity during demand hours, like rush hours, like midday and around dinner time. And we don't have to have any team on site. In fact, our stores service customers 24/7. The data that we continuously capture through them is also used to dynamically power nudges, loyalty and promotions through our screens, as well as through the digital app that we're launching in 2024. And we don't have to pay rent to be in our locations because actually venues pay for the privilege of a low-cost subscription amenity, unlike a canteen. And our AI unlocks the power to do this all behind the scenes. So with fresh food, it's really important to get forecasting and demand planning right because fresh food waste can be a really expensive problem. We have a team of data scientists working behind the scenes to build neural network and decision-based models, which allow us to fine-tune the products that we put in our machines to localize demand, to optimize the way that we fulfill those machines to ensure that we're doing as few miles as possible on the road and service them up to full capacity as much as we can. And also to locate new demand hotspots to ensure that we're really sweating our assets and putting them in the best locations to sell. And our data science team have already driven really great results for us. On the forecasting product, They've given us an 81% reduction in waste across our estate, as well as a 16% profit uplift. Optimized by data science, this means that our per site economics are really attractive as we grow. And in 2024, we'll have a contribution margin at the site level of 58%. So this is a really interesting new micro retail model.
And this only means we need to deploy 1,500 microstores to become a unicorn with our retail model. And this is just worth noting, this is just from the retail sales. And in just 5 months, we built a serious B2B pipeline. We're already live in 6 NHS hospitals. We're partnering with IWG, the world's largest workspace group, and we've been picked by Tesla to launch with them over Europe's biggest vending operator next year, as many of a number of these names that you can see as well. And the revenue from selling food ourselves is just the tip of the iceberg. We talked about the retail microstore model revenue. Number 2 is selling data and advertising and our consumer insights. And number 3 is white labeling our model and licensing our technology for the retail transition. And this is what it shows like across a forecast of a number of years. You can see that the micro retail revenue is practically a third of what our revenue could be in the future, with a lot of our revenue coming from advertising and then licensing out the technology that we're building within our store network today. Our entrepreneurial founding team have strong backgrounds in data science, retail, and food experts. And at the same time, we've got an amazing team around us and amazing partners to make this all happen. We're asking for £800,000 to build out the data and technology to rapidly scale our microstores in the UK and allow, in the future, everyone to do unattended retail at scale. Thank you, and I hope you can get in touch.
Amazing. Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah, sorry, I know we went a bit over, but yeah.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. All good. Thank you very much. And I'm going to send the Google form in again. So if anyone wants to follow up with Marty's and the rest of the guys pitching today, please fill in the form and we'll get you connected. Perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Cool. So next up, we've got Richard from Kushler. So Richard, if you want to share. Yeah, perfect. And I'll just find you and pin you for everyone. Nice one. So yeah, ready to go whenever you're ready, Richard.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Tom. I'm here today to talk to you about Kushler, and thanks for the opportunity. Kushler is a health tech product. We're aiming to empower patients to have a genuine interaction with their healthcare. Kushler is actually heartbeat in the Irish language. So why did I give up a particularly stable, well-paid job to come into this space? So I joined the Faculty of Sport and Exercise Medicine in the Royal College of Surgeons as a lay member. I was terrified meeting all these consultants and GPs and surgeons. I didn't understand the language that they were speaking. And one day before a board meeting, they were talking about this shoulder that they were one of the consultants was dealing with and how complex a challenge it was for him. This went on for a good few minutes, and did the shoulder come in with anybody, or did it just walk in on its own? I used to play international rugby league, and I'd done my shoulder a few times. And when I went to see a consultant, they told me that to fix it would actually be more dangerous for me as a rugby league player, whereas if I was a cyclist or a roofer or a jockey, maybe it would have been better to fix it. And it was that lack of total understanding around the patient that really jumped out to me. My dad was unwell ever since I was around 5, and he went from appointment to appointment, never getting any better. And I knew when I was working in BHI that we were spending huge amounts of money trying to predict the likely cost of claims, where all of that information sits with the individual. And I'd done all this before in open banking. I worked in Citibank for years. So it just felt that it was the right opportunity. So I went out and set up Kushler. We founded in 2020. We're headquartered in Ireland, although my accent is of Leeds originally. I'm 26 years living here. We have a US company founded and a UK company just set up now as well. So we're eligible for EIS and EIS. Our last year and a half have been focused on building out the product and testing the technology, which I'm pleased to say is successful. We raised €830,500 in pre-seed for that, and we're now raising 3 million at a 7 million pre-money valuation. We've raised 1.3. We've just been given approval by Enterprise Ireland for another 500,000, and we're looking to move on this for EIS by the end of the year. So in terms of what does the product do, essentially we're bringing together information, and we always describe and say all of the individual bits of information, whether they're a GP record, a scan result, Fitbit information or your own tracking of, say, alcohol, sleep, or whatever. They're all pixels in this image of yourself. It needs to be brought together and presented in a simple way with a simple user interface that can pull data out of the NHS or the US health information exchanges, or it can be self-populated as well. And we're built on Microsoft Azure as well from a security perspective. In terms of where the market is, most people describe themselves as healthy or unhealthy, but all of the consumerization of healthcare is happening between that healthy through to frail, where activity and treatment should be moving into a more community-based setting, and as much as possible as close to home or in the home. It's a huge market. It's estimated 600 billion, moving activity away from hospitals. And the only way that that activity can happen is if there's data that is understood and the patients are engaged and participating in that as well. So we spent a huge amount of time on protecting our products, and I'd be happy to go into that side with people if you want to speak to us afterwards as well. But we have protected an awful lot about what we're doing. In terms of how we're going to market at the moment, we've partnered with Unifar Medtech, which are a major health services company headquartered in Ireland, but international. And that gives us access to every hospital here in Ireland, the UK, a significant presence across Western Europe. And they've just moved into the US as well. We've just started our first pilots in the US, so we're the first non-US based company to have access to 220 million patient records. And we're doing a pilot with a large urgent care clinic in Louisiana. And then we're also taking part with activity here within the health service as well. So in terms of what would that look like, data on its own is okay, but you need to understand where that fits. And this is an example of a pregnancy journey. There's information that you need to understand before you go in for your appointments. There's understanding the language, preparing properly for both appointments and delivery, and tracking all of your records so you have them available for you. And we repeat this, whether it's diabetes, cardiac, and so on. In terms of the drivers of success, I mean, the train has well and truly left the platform around adoption. We're all familiar with it from banking and from travel. The technology for healthcare has been around for about 25 years, but it took us 20 years in banking to get to this stage, and it's taken about a year in healthcare, driven predominantly by COVID as well, but pretty much 90% of all healthcare interactions are digital now. As I mentioned, we're raising 3 million, with about 1.2 left on the table. And we're planning to roll out into both the consumer and the B2B space as well. So Unifar will give us access to all the hospitals, and our US model will give us access to all the individuals. So thanks a minute. Look forward to catching up with people afterwards as well. Thank you.
Nice one. Thanks very much, Richard. Thank you for your pitch. That was really good. Thank you. Again, I'll share in the form. So if anyone wants to follow up with Richard or anyone else from today, please fill out the form. We'll get you connected. So cool. Thanks, Richard. So next up, we've got Dee from Examfly. So Dee, when you're ready, do you want to share your screen and start whenever you're ready?
Yeah, perfect. Hey everyone, and thanks Tom. My name is Dee. I'm the founder of Examfly. At Examfly, we're building the next generation in professional learning, and I'll talk you through what that means. So my own background is very much professional services domains, law, tax. As a practitioner, a student, a lecturer of these subjects, I saw firsthand the pain of when people are pursuing professional qualifications under an outdated model. I think these insights from the domain have allowed us to rapidly validate our market. So within a year of launching, we were in 3 of the big 4 in Ireland. We're already international, having signed a 2-year deal with PwC in the UK this year. So I'm going to talk you through how we've done that and our plans for the future. We're currently raising a seed round of 1.5 million, of which we have 1.2 million already committed and about to close. This will be qualifying for investor tax relief in both Republic of Ireland and the UK. But backing up to the problem, so professional services domains, so think domains like accounting, tax, law, characterized by high value knowledge economy jobs and typically operated off a billable hours model. Due to that billable hours model, the key thing that these firms have to sell are the skills of their people. So qualifications and training are crucial. But the way of attaining those qualifications and training is so very analog, dense technical textbooks, talking head PowerPoints, extremely hard to grasp for modern attention spans. And this seems to be the #1 challenge to talent training and retention in any survey of the global professional services industry. To get more specific on the problems, so to qualify even one accountant, and bear in mind that like the likes of PwC will hire about 1,200 trainee accountants every year in the UK alone, it's expensive, it's ineffective, so you still have a 50% failure rate in some subjects. Gen Z are making up a bigger and bigger portion of these workforces, but the learning style is very different to how they consume information in their personal lives. So dopamine rich, personalized, driven by smart algorithms, that does not describe the current learning status quo. So we're solving this by building the world's first technology first education platform. And I'll explain what I mean by technology first, but essentially it gives you all the benefits of software in terms of user experience and of scalability of business model in a global education platform. At the moment, our product delivers a learning experience in 3 core components. So the information intake phase, which we do through a range of digital media, including animated explainer videos for a fun, fast, and visual way to learn the materials. That gets you quickly into a useful practice phase, which we've highly gamified, creating a range of interactive testing tools based on the skills that people need to attain these qualifications and to be good in practice, and all overlaid by tracking adaptive feedback reporting for firms. So think something like Duolingo, but for this high value professional services space. The bigger picture vision, which we're already building towards, is that the rules of these subjects, and they're very rule based anyway, are essentially programmed via generative AI to allow us to easily produce learning interactions in form of digital media and code, and easily plug in different front-end integrations in time. So we're about halfway there and being able to do that for most of our production processes. Even with the version of the product that we have at the moment, the general feedback from these trainees of big firms is that learning is more fun, faster, and more effective with Examfly. We often get feedback like fantastic, amazing, unique. Suffice to say, you don't often hear this in response to tax and accounting materials. With a big 4 customer in the UK this year, it's early days, but we saw a 10% increase in pass rates on a sample size of over 500. And as I said, generative AI allows us to scale rapidly and cost effectively to new qualifications, new geographies, or adjacent domains. We're already seeing an 80% cost saving across all use cases and product production. So our customers, as I said, some of the biggest firms in Ireland are happy repeat customers. We're already international and look forward to expanding on that next year. And this has been achieved with 0 sales or marketing spend to date. So looking forward to growing that once we do actually apply some marketing resources to it. Also seeing very strong revenue growth year on year, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're touching 200,000 in revenue this year, but that's just on a handful of products. Once we scale up the product, which we'll do with our raise, we see a clear path to 1 to 2 million ARR. So it's a huge global market, the broader corporate training market, but we're starting first in the niche of professional exams and training. Each big 4 in each country can become a 1 to 2 million account in time. It's a land and expand model where we license our platform on a per user, per subject basis. Very strong team across tech, domain, learning theory, and creativity. As I said, we're raising 1.5 million to scale essentially, and I'd look forward to chatting to any of you who are interested. Thanks very much. I think that's my time.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Dee. That was great. Thank you. Again, if anyone wants to follow up with Dee or anyone else, I'll reshare the form again. But that was great. Thanks very much. Cool. So then, last but not least, we've got Connor from Akara. So Connor, whenever you're ready, do you want to share your screen and then kick off as soon as you're ready?
Hi everybody. Hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yeah, got that.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you for the opportunity to present this afternoon. My name is Connor. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Akara. And this robot you see on the left is Stevie. This was one of the first robots that our team at Akara built together back in 2019. And we believe that now is the time for robots to come out of factories and into the real world, because there's an urgent need for them to do tasks that are otherwise dull, dirty, or dangerous, and tasks that humans don't want to do and shouldn't need to do. One of the areas that's prime for this level of disruption is in healthcare. because hospital capacity has actually reduced by more than 50% in the last few decades. There's a global staffing shortage of more than 10 million workers, and hospital waiting lists, as we all know, are at an all-time high. At the moment in the UK, nearly 8 million people are on waiting lists due to this demand. This means that the market opportunity to improve hospital efficiency is extremely big. There's more than 140,000 healthcare facilities in Europe and the US, which creates, at a believable price point, a service addressable market of more than 14 billion. One of the biggest pain points that affects hospital efficiency is room decontamination. Not only is this application ideally suited for robotics technology because it meets the criteria of being dull, dangerous, and dirty, but it's extremely inefficient, as I'll show in a few minutes. And this leads to massive periods of room downtime accumulating, which is expensive because the hospital don't have access to critical estate. But even worse, if it's not well done, it puts patients' lives at risk. To put this in context, over the course of a day, just the process of cleaning one operating room typically takes 4 people, leads to more than 2 hours of downtime where the room can't be used. And research shows that only 50% of the surfaces, when they are cleaned, are actually got. A huge amount of contaminated surfaces are missed. And up until now, this has been a fundamental problem without a solution that affects literally every hospital. At Acara, we've built an end-to-end robotic system that carries out this process in minutes rather than hours. It requires involvement from just one staff member, reduces downtime to less than 35 minutes, and it cleans rooms to a significantly higher standard than is otherwise possible. At the core of this innovation are a fleet of autonomous disinfection robots whose performance exceeds what people can do. We achieve this through a combination of cutting-edge artificial intelligence, germ-killing UV light, and a patented robot design that can be deployed not only faster, but also in many more parts of the hospital than the current state-of-the-art disinfection systems can do. And you see a brief indication of this in the video here. This isn't just an idea. We've been able to show in real deployments that we can achieve removal of more than 99% of germs in real UK hospitals. And this achieves a significant improvement on what the methods currently being used are achieving. Not only that, but in a landmark deployment of our technology this summer, we showed the ability of the technology to reduce downtime by a factor of nearly 7. In practical terms, that was a saving of more than 3.5 hours each time it was used. The benefits of the technology don't end there. Our robot is supplemented by a mobile app and an analytics platform that allow us to generate really valuable data and insights that we can then sell back to the hospital as an additional revenue stream. Acara's product is unique. We're the only clinical grade product of its type that can both shorten room downtime and decrease the staffing requirements, which address, again, 2 fundamental challenges. This innovation has emerged from years of research in Trinity College and Ireland's top university, as well as engagement with hospitals from around the world. We've been accepted into some of the top startup programs, including EIT Health, the European Innovation Council Accelerator, as well as Digital Health London, which is supported by the NHS directly. Our product was CE marked just a few months ago, and since then we've already closed 2 NHS contracts. Why are we the team to solve this problem? Well, we have a unique combination of core skill sets. Our founders hold PhDs and master's degrees in robotics, AI, and manufacturing. We've published research in some of the world's leading publications for this stuff, which is really important if you're trying to sell into hospitals because credibility means everything. And our advisory board includes a former hospital CEO from Ireland's biggest acute hospital. Our pricing model has 2 components. We charge a fee for access to the robot hardware, and we also charge costs for the data that we collect and we share. With this pricing model, we reach 100 million in revenue with just 450 hospitals, which is less than 1% of the service addressable market that I've alluded to. I mentioned our pipeline. To date, we've deployed the technology in 4 hospitals across the UK and Ireland. Within the next 6 months, we're set to double this number, and our target is to have 20 paying customers by the end of 2024. Our plan for scale-up involves partnering with major service providers, and to this end, we've already formed a partnership with Aramark, who are arguably the biggest player in facility management. They have annual revenues of more than $16 billion. They support 2,000 hospitals, and the partnership we have provides a clear pathway for us to first conquer our local markets in Ireland, UK, but then to transition to the US, which we know is the big market. Our unit economics are the best in the service robotics industry. We expect to generate 140,000 over a 5-year period for each robot. and the cost for us to make it is relatively low. So it gives us a gross margin of 75%. And we have a clear pathway to 10 million in revenue within the next 3 years. To accelerate growth and to achieve these goals, we're raising around £1 million. This will allow us to achieve some of the following milestones. We need to grow our commercial team, upgrade some of our manufacturing process, importantly, obtain 20 paying customers in Ireland and the UK, as well as close a big contract with the US healthcare provider. We're fully EIS and SEIS eligible, and when we raise the investment, we're also eligible to draw down an additional £1 million from the European Innovation Council in the form of a non-dilutive grant. So I'll leave it there, and hopefully there's investors in the call that are interested in this technology. We'd love to talk to you.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Connor. Really good. And yeah, for everyone, I've resent that form one last time, so please do fill that out. If there's anyone you want to chat to, just there's a drop down, so you can tick as many as you like. If you want to speak to everyone, then just put so in that form. Cool, but that's everyone for today. So firstly, thanks to all of the founders for pitching. Really appreciate it, and amazing job. Thank you very much. And then also thanks everyone who attended today. Your support's also very much appreciated. We'll send through a follow-up later today with a bit more info on all the companies who pitched today. But as I said, if you do want to follow up, please feel free to get in touch with us or fill out the form that I've put into the chat. Cool. So thanks everyone. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day and look forward to seeing you all again soon. Thanks.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone.